Hey everybody, how you doing? This is Dan Blanchard with the Travel in Time with Dan show, where we mix travel with history and with leadership and of course with me, Dan Blanchard. Today I'm at the Springfield, Massachusetts Riverfront Park, and I'm going to talk about a gentleman named Frederic Tudor and his ice empire. Yes, people thought it was impossible, but he does it. He puts together this ice empire. And he's the guy back in the early to mid 1800s that figures out resources plus innovation plus transportation equals an industry. His resources were ice. Right here from the Connecticut River, his resources were ice. All right. His innovation, well, was himself. Mr. Tudor, Frederic Tudor was the innovation, his innovative way of thinking about things. His transportation was the railroad. The Springfield Union train station right here became a hub of transportation that made this ice empire possible. And the industry was ice. So much ice that he became the ice empire. Now, if you look over my shoulder here at the Connecticut River here in Springfield, Massachusetts, some people think of that as like maybe a boundary line or whatever, but not Frederic Tudor. To Frederic Tudor, this was an industrial asset. The water there was free, right? The ice there in the cold New England winters are going to be free, and it's going to be way more than he's pulling out of his family pond in Boston. Right here, there's so much water, so much ice right here, and it's thick because it was really cold here in New England back in those days. All right, it's really thick. All right, next, let's talk about the Springfield Union train station. This thing became a real hub of travel, branching out all over the place, United States, and from there taking boats to go further. Right? He could jump on this, put his ice on this train station right here, these tracks right here, this hub of the Union, right, the Springfield Union, and he could send this ice. Yeah, ice. People are like, no, it's going to melt. But he could send this ice to like Philadelphia, Chicago, Boston, Los Angeles, send it down to New Orleans, the southern ports, to hop on ships and go around the Caribbean. For the first time ever, people are going to have ice in their drinks in the Caribbean, and go all the way to India, 14,000 miles away. Believe it or not, India becomes his biggest customer, right? So how does this happen? How does Frederic Tudor become the ice king? Listen, this is a guy whose family expected him to go to Harvard University. His brother went to Harvard. He was expected to go to Harvard, and he passes it up. He says, I'm not going to go to Harvard, right? Instead, I'm going to become an entrepreneur, and I'm going to make ice. I'm going to sell ice all over the world. I'm going to put ice in people's cups, ice to chill people's meat to keep it from going bad. Right? People are going to use my ice for tuberculosis, try to bring down their fevers. People are like crazy. It will never work. You can't make that work. The ice will melt like an hour or two down the road. There's no way to make it work. He did, right? He sent it to the Caribbean. Sadly, he had to convince the people that cold drinks were something that they should be doing because they fought him in the beginning on that. But he sent it down the Caribbean. And for the first time, people in the Caribbean were able to have ice in their drinks, cold drinks, right? India, as I said, became his biggest customer. He's going to have his ice being sold all over the world, right? And he's become very rich doing it, although not at first. But he's going to become very rich doing it, and everybody thinks he's crazy. Everybody says it can't happen, right? That it's going to melt. But he knows something. He figures out something that most other people don't. And it's called another free product. Like the ice in the water here is free. Well, the timber industry has a waste product, right? It's called sawdust. They don't want it. They just throw it away. Right? Frederic Tudor wants that sawdust, that waste product, that free product, because he's going to pack his ice with it to keep it from melting. Now, most of us are like, how does that work? I don't know. How do you do it? I don't know. But it works. Turns out like the molecules of sawdust are very irregular. And when you pack things in sawdust, it really does create like an airtight environment. And I guess air is the enemy of ice. Air is what causes it to like melt. So the sawdust is going to work. I don't know how to do it, but it works. All right. Now, listen, things did not go well for him in the beginning, right? So he didn't make a lot of money. He had a lot of bills. He had trouble selling his ice, even when he did get it over down to the Caribbean. And he's going to end up in a lot of debt. As a matter of fact, he's going to go to debtor's prison 3 times. I know that's insane. How do you do jobs to make money to pay people back if you're in prison, right? But he goes to debtor's prison 3 times. I wonder, when he's sitting in debtor's prison one of those times, if he's going, man, I made a mistake. I should have just listened to my parents and gone to Harvard and picked like a safe career like my brother did. Maybe I should have done that. But he does something that most successful entrepreneurs do. He fights his way through the doubts and the bad times, and he creates something nobody thought was possible. He creates an ice empire, and that ice empire becomes the cornerstone of the New England Industrial Revolution. He lays the tracks, lays the groundwork for so many things here about being an entrepreneur and creating distribution channels, right? He does amazing what he does here for the cornerstone as the New England Industrial Revolution. Now, one of the things that helps, he's got a partner named Nathaniel Wyeth. Nathaniel Wyeth, he creates this horse-drawn ice plow that cuts the ice blocks off of that water. Imagine a horse out there on the Connecticut River, cutting ice, right? That ice must have been really thick back in those really cold New England days, cutting the blocks at a standardized size. So he standardizes the blocks, right? And then from there, he can stack the blocks nice and tight. So instead of making like what looks like one little teeny ice cube, he's got huge blocks of ice, which obviously melt a lot cheaper. Now, you throw the sawdust in there, and it insulates it, keeps it airtight, and those things go all over, right? Now, here's another advantage he has at his figure out. There's a lot of ships in Boston that are heading down to the Caribbean to pick up stuff in the Caribbean. Sugar obviously was a big thing, white gold down there. So, but a lot of the ships leaving Boston are kind of like empty as they're going down to pick up their sugar. So he realizes that he could get really cheap passage for his ice on those ships that are pretty much empty. All right, so think about it. He's got like almost the free ice here, except for like some manual labor cost. He's got the sawdust, which is like a waste being thrown away by the timber industry. And now he's got ships. He's got ships that are leaving Boston basically empty, go down the Caribbean and pick up stuff like sugar. So he says, hey, why not put ice on those and get cheap passage? And he does it, and it's just amazing that he does this and figures it out. And he's just like, you almost look at it and you're like, oh, he almost can't help but make money, the stuff he's figuring out, right? So what he does also here is revolutionary. We're not just talking about the Industrial Revolution, but we're talking about revolutionary. He's basically laying the groundwork for the future refrigeration system and global trade. It's coming right here at Springfield, Massachusetts from ice. Yes, ice. You've heard that correct, right? He does this in the early 1800s, mid 1800s, and by the 1840s, he's shipping his ice all over the world, and he's become a very wealthy man. His biggest customer is India. We're talking something like 14,000 miles away. It's his biggest customer for something that everybody said couldn't be done. You couldn't ship ice a couple hours before it would melt, but he does it. Now, however, everything changes in life, right? And in the late 1800s, you're going to have artificial refrigeration coming in, and it's just going to kill his natural iced harvesting. I mean, who needs somebody to go down and cut them a big block of ice off of the Connecticut River or pond behind your house or wherever you are, if you can just go to your refrigerator and everything's cold and open the icebox door and there's ice. You don't need nice big blocks of ice anymore. And this is going to kill his ice empire. But I got to tell you, for about 100 years, this ice empire ruled, which was pretty cool, right? Now, you know, when I do my Travel in Time with Dan shows, I like to mix travel, history, with leadership. If you have not traveled down here to this part of Springfield, you definitely should here by the Connecticut River. This is a beautiful riverfront park, and there's so much to see in Springfield. You should definitely check this out. I've already given you a lot of history about Frederic Tudor and his ice empire taking place right here at the Connecticut River in Springfield, Massachusetts. But, you know, I also like to include leadership stuff. So what is the leadership lesson of today? You ready for this? Innovation often looks ridiculous before it changes the world, right? Frederic Tudor used the Connecticut River right there. He used the Springfield Union train station, right here, and he absolutely changed the world. Refrigeration, global trade for like drinks and food, changes the world. All right, so remember, what's the leadership lesson? Innovation often looks ridiculous before it changes the world. Don't be afraid of looking ridiculous. I know it's easier said than done, but don't be afraid of looking ridiculous, because you too might be changing the world. Well, everybody, thank you for spending time with me today on the Travel in Time with Dan show, where we mix travel with history and leadership, and of course with me, Dan Blanchard. I'll be back real soon with another great episode on something else where you can travel, learn history, and learn leadership. Take care now.